Hello. Okay, Leo, welcome to your June soul session. I am Marlo. If you're new and if you're family, welcome back, my friend. And if you, my wonderful Leo, resonate with this message, don't forget to tickle my like button and caress subscribe. You know what I'm saying? Make sure that you ring my bell and that your notifications are set to all. And you can also find the link to my extended videos in the description box below this video. You like the new spiel, Leo? I hope you like it. Let me know in the comments. If you don't like it, lie to me. You know what I'm saying? But anywho, coming into you guys, reading the first card out that we have is the Three of Wands in the reverse. So there may be a little bit of delays, a tad bit of setbacks for you guys coming into the month. First thing that kind of comes to me with that, it feels kind of mundane, to be quite honest. It feels kind of 3D-ish. So, I mean, I don't know if it's something that you're waiting to come in the mail or like a check or something like that you guys may be waiting to come in. But I feel there's a delay with that. For others of you, if we got more into like a mental space, a perspective phase with, did I say perspective phase? I meant perspective plays. We're talking about like big picture. It's more or less like a lack thereof of clarity of like what's next for you guys. And I say that because of the next card that you guys have coming out, which is Virgo energy. And that is the Hermit in the reverse. And I feel with this, how can I say this? Okay, this just became a whole thing. I can't wait till the rest of these cards come out. I feel specifically with this, Leo, and I have no Pentacles cards here, but this is just what I'm picking up intuitively. I literally feel like this has something to do with like money, right? You know how I was saying there's like a delay potentially, like if you're waiting for a check to come in. I feel like, I don't think, are people still getting tax returns? I don't know if people are still getting tax returns, but looking at this Hermit in the reverse, it's giving me vibes of like repeating a past mistake. And if I were to put all of that together, like with there being a lack there of a foresight of like not knowing what's next or what the next move is, it's kind of a thing with finances. So it's like this repeated pattern that may be happening with how it is that you guys manage your finances. So you could potentially be in a bind now. And it's like, you know, say like if your light bill is due or your rent is due or something like that, and it's like waiting for money to come in so that you're able to like cover the cost of that. But how it is that we ended up getting here is that this is like something that's happened before that's more or less repeating itself. And there we go. We have the Nine of Wands. So this is something that you guys have experienced before. And it's interesting because this, like I said, there's no Pentacle cards here, but this literally feels like money for me. So all in all, Leo, coming into the month of June, like, and I would literally say probably maybe the first week, second week, something around that time frame, it's stuff being kind of heavy on your head and not really knowing how, when, what to move forward. And it all ties back into something that you guys have a repeated pattern of doing. So if you were to take a step back and look at what got you to this point, so if we stick with the whole financial thing, there's a need to take a step back and really look at how it is that you're managing your money, you know what I mean? Or whatever this is speaking to specifically, even if like there's a lack thereof of knowing what's next for you as far as like big picture, like if this doesn't have anything to do with money, like say if, you know, you're working at a job and it's like you're not liking your job, or you just graduated from college and you have no idea like what's next for you, there's some sentiment here of needing to kind of go back to the drawing board, because how you're approaching this particular situation is how it is that you have typically approached things past tense. And you know that that's not necessarily helpful. So it could be a myriad of different things from, so sorry to interrupt you guys while you're listening to the show, but I wanted to tell you guys about our new partnership with BetterHelp. If you haven't heard of them, it's an online resource in which you can find your very own friendly local neighborhood therapist, no matter where you are in the world. You sign up, And within 24 hours, they match you with a therapist that's right for you. And you can talk to your counselor every week via phone or video chat. You can also text them between sessions. If you or someone you know has been considering therapy, get started today with BetterHelp. Now let's get back to the show. Pessimism to poor money management to a lack thereof of planning, you know what I mean? Or not necessarily thinking things through, or if you're kind of triggered, like how I spoke about, like with the delays, it's kind of like if you get frustrated when stuff is delayed, because it's making me think of like delayed, not denied. But it's like kind of, I don't want to say having a tantrum, but it's kind of like kind of spiraling, if you will. It's like spiraling and isolating yourself and beating yourself up and things of the sort. But this is interesting because I'm trying to be very careful in the words that I pick, because I don't want you guys to get the wrong idea. But it feels like this is just like kind of a pattern that's been happening underneath it all that you may not realize that you're doing. And in order for you to identify it, it would require a great deal of self-honesty, because it's like there's a holding pattern. And I can't remember who that was. I think it was Scorpio. I think it was Scorpio that I said that to, where I saw like this kind of pigeonhole type of thing. But it's like, I feel or even because this still keeps going back to money, Leo. This still keeps going back to money, because the other thing I'm thinking back to this 3 of Wands in the reverse, it's almost like a little bit of an irresponsibility, because it's, even if we went back to the tax return thing, it's like if you get your tax return and like spend it all instead of like allocating it or saving it. And all of that goes back to not looking at the bigger picture, or not considering different things that come up, or not having, an emergency savings. And when, your car breaks or something unexpected happens, it's falling back into those same bad behaviors of things that you've, typically always done that way. And it's kind of, good Lord, it's kind of like reliving that same episode of your life over and over again, where you come into money, you don't save the money, you spend it all, something happens, right? And then you're back to being in this holding pattern, waiting for another chunk of money to come. And then this chunk of money comes, that money goes, and then something else happens. So it's kind of like this pattern that I'm seeing, and it's repeating that consistently. And I'm sure, there's some of you who may be aware of this and just not know how to get out of it. But I feel this is more or less speaking to someone who hasn't connected the dots, if that's making sense. I hope and pray that that's making sense, Leo. Next card that we have is, oh goodness, the 9 of Swords in the reverse. Okay, unfinished business with the world in the reverse. And then we have the 8 of Swords. Yeah, dude, this is the whole holding pattern that I was speaking about. So like I was saying, it's how I think this would feel more or less to Leo, like how it would feel in your perspective, like the person who I feel like this is for. Because like I said, there's some of you who may be aware that you're doing that, or came into the realization that you do that. And of course, I can get that out the way first. If you're aware, like, okay, I have issues with managing my money, then the next step would be, if you've tried it a bunch of different ways and it necessarily hasn't worked for you up to this point, that's when you'd want to reach out to someone who's like an expert on that can kind of coach you through it. And, like a financial planner, a financial advisor. And then, if you don't have money to be paying for all of that, there's different community resources that offer services like that. I know like the Urban League is one of them, like their Women in Business Center, and they have those like all over the US. It's like they help you with finances and whatnot. And there's a bunch of different like community service organizations that do the same. But in that case, with you being aware of it, of course, you reach out to someone who's an expert in that particular area. Now, for those of you where it's kind of like you keep ending up in this space and you're used to ending up in this space, but you haven't quite made the connection of like how this keeps happening. You know what I mean? With this Nine of Swords in the reverse, of course, well, we could look at this two different ways, honestly. Ideally, what I would want to say, but with these other cards being here, it's falling away from that particular interpretation. It's like this can say that you can come out of this. I really feel like it's saying there's an option to. And the reason why there's an option to is because it's not seeing how one is contributing to the situation that you're in, but otherwise it's just kind of persistent anxiety and like, and you can't sleep and, you know, you're in unrest and all this other kind of stuff because you're worried about whatever this is that this is speaking about for you guys specifically. But like I said, with this Hermit and the reverse and with this World and the reverse falling underneath it, the World and reverse, we're talking about unfinished business. So it's like, this is a lesson in this past cycle you guys are coming out of that it was intended for you guys to learn. You know what I mean? But with this Hermit in the reverse, it's still repeating that same pattern. So it's not quite having learned the lesson. So it's like, it's having the experience, seeing the experience is holding you back. But what's really preventing this from, you know, cycling out is not making the connection between this repeated past mistake that's being made. And of course, with this Eight of Swords too, it's like feeling trapped in a mental prison. So that's the thing that I say is, I feel for the Leo that would resonate with this, it wouldn't be someone who has come to that awareness of like, oh, okay, that's because I'm mismanaging my money. I feel the person who would resonate more with this and who this would be speaking to is someone who feels like, you know, your life is a series of unfortunate events. You know what I mean? And it's like, I think that's why the holding pattern exists, because especially like with this Nine of Wands and this Eight of Swords, it's not seeing the full picture and it's just kind of being on guard, or like a very typical Taurian thing of waiting for the other shoe to drop. It's like when something good happens, you're expecting something bad to follow it. But I feel why this message is coming out, Leo, is because it's kind of like a wake up call from spirit saying, hey, there's something that you're doing that's contributing to this. It's not just a series of unfortunate events. And I feel what the goal is going to be for Leos in the month of June is for you guys to realize that, because once you realize this, that's pretty much what unlocks everything. You know what I mean? Like you'll be able to see the whole picture clearly, kind of like the other group of Leos that I was talking about. And then you can actually take action or reach out to someone that would be able to help you to overcome this challenge, whatever it is. But what I'm picking up on intuitively, it feels a great deal about money. But I mean, even if you sat back, like I said, self-reflect, child. I feel if you really sat back and looked at this, you would see this pattern consistently repeating itself. But the whole premise of how you overcome it is seeing what it is that you're contributing that's causing this to be like persistent. You know what I'm saying? Now at the bottom of you guys' deck, yeah, this probably has a great deal to do about money. We have the Empress and the reverse. So I look at this card like, I don't know why that, because this is not the word. This is not what I mean, but this is the word that my guides just said. My guide said infertility. I have to say, I don't mean it like infertility, like not having a baby. I don't mean it like that, but I mean infertility in the sense of almost like a barrenness. It's like not feeling financially abundant. It's almost like, and I know that there's in real life, people live paycheck to paycheck, fully aware of that. But I don't feel this is that kind of thing. Like who this message would be for is not someone who, you know, is in a position where, you know, like someone who's in a bad financial position. This wouldn't be that. I mean, I'm not saying this for somebody who's like extra rich or nothing like that. But I feel this person that this would be speaking to would be someone where you make a fairly decent amount of money, but it's just the money is being mismanaged and it's feeling infertile or unfruitful because things can't ever seem to grow. You can't ever seem to maintain money in your savings account. It's like every time you get paid in a couple of days, the next thing you know, your money's gone. And I feel there's a need to really look at that because stuff is kind of, you know, slipping through your fingers, or what is that they say? Like burning in your pockets, but it's not because of being in a position where you have all of these bills and you're literally living paycheck to paycheck because you're really like not making enough. This would be someone who is making enough, but you're in a position living paycheck to paycheck because there's a mismanagement of where that money is allocated to, and it's not making that connection. So it's kind of imprisoning yourself and keeping yourself into this holding pattern. And the self-awareness and making that connection is what's going to help you guys overcome this month. So I hope and pray that this makes sense. Okay, another message they told me, child, was trying to close out. I don't know why I got to say this, but whatever. I was about to close out, but they said with this Empress in the reverse too, it would be speaking to someone who's always having to borrow money. Like it's always having to borrow money from other people or getting extensions on bills consistently. So I don't know if that's just like a descriptive type of thing, but I don't know. My guys wanted me to say that. So child, I don't know. But anywho, Leo, that's been your soul session for June. I don't know why I wanted to say April. Let me know what you think in the comments, my wonderful Leos. I'm going over to Vimeo, Patreon, YouTube members, my network, like all the places that I am to do you guys extended to finish playing out these cards to see what else is going on with you guys, because this is very interesting. I had no Pentacles, child, and we didn't have a whole reading about money. But anywho, let me know what you think in the comments. Going over there if you're about that life. Follow me on over there. But if not, I still love your freaking face, and I will see you guys sooner than later, my friends.